So you want to know how to do the Rendezook, eh? Well, here's how. Step 1, you want to make sure you can control your jet, so copy these controls if you haven't changed the default settings. If you have, stick to what you know. If you've flown before, stick to what you know. These are just my personal controls. I will say though, doing this on the default settings is going to make it significantly harder, so I would recommend finding something you do like. Next thing you want to do is go straight to Portal and put in the experience code that I've put on screen. Basically just hit play. I don't know if you'll be able to host locally or not. I don't know if that's something only I can do. But when you get in, just spawn. It doesn't matter about the deploy screen being bugged or whatever. I don't know how to fix that. I'm terrible with this. But yeah, spawn in and this is your playground to practice the Rendezook, right? Just practice over and over again. The first thing you want to learn is getting back into the jet, because most people get this wrong and that is an instant bottleneck, because if you can't get back into the jet, it doesn't matter how good your aim is, you're not getting the Rendezook. Now, I recommend for your first initial attempts, do it in first person, because you need to pay attention to your speed here. We're going to zoom in here and just analyze some things, right? This arrow here is your speed, right? You want it to be between 300 to 360. You can get away with doing it slower and maybe faster, but this is where I have the best results. This arrow here is pointing at the dotted line. You want this dotted line to be as flat as possible. The flatter, the better, right? If you're slanted too much, you're going to end up being ejected in a way that pushes you too far away from the jet. And even if you are close enough to catch up to it, you won't be at the angle that lets you get back into the cockpit. And trust me, in this game is very strict. You have to have your player land near the cockpit canopy, the glass part of the jet. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get back into the jet. I'm going to use another image to explain my point here. You can see here my jet is pretty much level, right? There is a slight incline though. Now the slight incline can actually help you, and it does mean the jet catches up to you faster though, so it gives you less time to take the shot. And basically it's about fine-tuning the balance of this and the orientation of your jet. One thing to note, do not touch the rudders. Now if you're using my controls, that means do not move your mouse left and right, which can be difficult because it's very sensitive, right? And you're trying to line it up vertically as well. But yeah, do not touch the rudders, because that will cause you to, I don't know how to describe it, your jet, when you eject, you go off at like an angle away from the jet and it makes it impossible to get back in. So just do not use the rudders. And now comes the fun part, the ejection process. When you eject, do not touch any movement key. If you touch any movement key, the game kills all of your momentum and you just fall out of the sky. You're never catching your jet. So do not touch the movement keys. And I'll explain what I mean here with the keyboard on screen. Now the only exception to touching the movement keys is when you realise you're about to overshoot. So you press the movement key and obviously that slows you down, jet catches up to you and then you can get back in. But otherwise, just avoid touching them. So now it's time to move on to the next step, aiming. Now aiming in this game is hard. I wouldn't say it's as hard as previous Battlefield games where the rocket travelled very slow. The rockets in this game travel reasonably fast. They're not as fast as 2042's projectile velocity though. But you need to adjust, and depending on the angle of the enemy jet behind you, you're going to have to either lead a lot or lead pretty much nothing at all. Now there's no real easy way to teach you this really, it's more down to just practice. Go into this mode, practice the hell out of it, and I would recommend recording your attempts and slowing it down and watching the rocket as it travels. And that should hopefully let you understand just how much you need to lead the rocket, depending on the angle of the enemy jet, of course. Now, there are bots in this mode. They're a bit annoying to get them to chase you. To do it, you need to fly past them as they take off, because for whatever reason, the AI in this game is terrible when it comes to flying jets. Pretty much all they do is they go up to the skybox, and then they dive right down into the ground, and they basically just die. And I don't know any workaround to fix this. If anybody does know how to fix this, please let me know. Then I can obviously update this mode and get them to actually chase you a bit more consistently. And now to wrap up, I think these are some points that need mentioning. 1. You're not going to hit this first try, especially in a real game, right? It's going to take you loads of time. And it's very, very heavily luck based, especially when you get to doing it in a real game. A real game has so many variables that you can't control. one, the enemy AA, right? If you're getting harassed by AA, you've the odds of you actually being able to hit a Rendezook without the jet being turned into dust it's pretty much 0. Then you need an enemy jet to follow you. He needs to be smart enough to follow you. He needs to be smart enough to not get distracted by some random bullshit, yeah. And then he needs to be shit enough to not be able to completely beam you down in 1 second because of how fast the time to kill is in this game. Only then can you then actually try to attempt the Rendezook, assuming you actually have enough space because of how little airspace is on this map compared to previous Battlefield games. Only then can you try and go for it. And then you've got to hit it, get back in, and then maybe you'll get a dog tag, but no you won't because it's not actually tracking properly right now. I've hit a few on my own against a jet and a chopper, no dog tag. I even hit one in this mode and the accolade counted. Obviously it's not going to give me the dog tag because it's in a practice mode, but the accolade's counting, and my theory is that if you walk on the jet before getting back in, even if it's just for a nanosecond, it doesn't count anymore. So you've literally got to get it perfect for it to count, which is obviously a bug because a Rendezook is a Rendezook. It doesn't matter how you get back into the jet, you got back into the jet. So yeah, if you're one of those people who you're a completionist, you came here to this guide to see how to get the dog tag, I'd hold back on it for now because honestly, it's not tracking properly and you're going to be heartbroken when you hit it on an enemy jet, you get back into yours, you go to your profile and you check and it didn't count. EA support don't do anything about it because as far as I'm aware they don't have the power to, so I wouldn't bother calling them either. And yeah, you're just going to have to wait. I think another thing to note, do not go up to the skybox and do this, right? If you take your jet up to the skybox, for whatever reason, all bullets just stop working. So you'll bail out your jet, you'll fire your RPG, and as far as I'm aware, you can't hit the target because the RPG just, whoop, gone, deleted. It doesn't work, doesn't count, nothing. So skyboxing doesn't work, as far as I'm aware. If anybody can get it to work, good for you. Have fun trying to get back into the jet though, because it's really annoying. And then before I end the video, just know that it's going to take you a while. It's very much luck based, and obviously the more you do it, the more likely you are to get lucky. That's the thing you should take away from this. So, without further ado, that's going to be it. I hope the guide helps, and good luck on the battlefield.